This has very quickly become Bernie's best-selling watch. It is a titanium field watch. The specifications are pretty impressive. It does contain a quartz movement. There's no automatic inside of this watch. It is a quartz, and at the moment you can pick it up for 69 US dollars, which is why I suspect this watch has proven to be just so popular. There's a lot to like about it, but there's quite a few things I'm not that keen on. So, yeah, if you're interested in this watch, stick around. Now, oddly enough, they've listed this watch 3 times on their official store. They're showing it like this, discounted for 69 US dollars at the moment. I think there's a sort of special deal on for the next few days. They're also showing it on a nylon strap for $63. And then again, undiscounted for $72. And if you add up the total sales for those 3 listings, it's well over 800 units sold. So this has proven to be, in a very short period of time, an incredibly popular watch. I mean, the specifications are impressive, and I'll run through those in a moment. Now, it does look to me like they're paying homage to a very popular Seiko field watch, which contains an automatic movement and can be had for, well, more than this watch, but not crazy amounts more. Yeah, the Seiko field watch is, well, maybe double the price, but it's not an unreasonable sum of money for a Seiko field watch. And I think I'd rather have a watch like this with Seiko on the dial. Although, you'll note there's no Berny on the dial, just the logo, which is why I think more people have purchased this watch than some of their previous watches, because I don't think this is the best watch Berny have ever made. I think they've made better watches than this, but I think one thing that's put people off is the name Berny emblazoned across the dial, whereas with this one, I think they've made the sensible decision to just put the logo. So, yeah, hopefully that's what they're going to do moving forward. But regardless of whether or not they put the name on the dial, there's no denying the specifications and the cost makes this watch incredible value for money. It is a fully titanium watch, titanium bracelet, titanium clasp, titanium case, sapphire crystal as well with AR coating, all for $70. Now, there's no automatic movement inside of here, but you do have the incredible Seiko VH31. We first saw that movement inside that awesome dress watch by Escapement Time, and they sold thousands of those watches. Automatic lovers don't mind that movement because the second hand, as you can see, ticks multiple times per second. So it looks a little bit like an automatic, and you don't have that issue with the second hand missing all the markers, which you see all too often, unfortunately. It's also available in many different colors, and of course, with the titanium strap or the nylon strap, I would go for the titanium strap. It's only a few extra dollars, and yeah, you can always swap it out for a nylon strap. I'm sure most of you out there have spare straps that you could put on this watch. I'll give you all the dimensions and the weight in a minute when I pop it on my wrist. The case back is a snap-on case back, and the crown is a pull-push crown. So only 50 meters of water resistance, which is a little bit disappointing for a field watch. Certainly one that's made of titanium and has sapphire crystal, because that suggests it's going to be a particularly hard wearing watch. But then, of course, you've got to be a little bit careful around water. You can take it swimming, I'm sure, but I wouldn't dive particularly deep with this watch. So I'm a little bit disappointed that there's a snap-on case back. I guess that keeps the case a little bit thinner than it would have been had there been a screw-down case back. And I'm also not that impressed with the engraving on either the clasp or the case back. It looks almost blurry, like it would look if I took off my glasses. Not very crisp or defined at all. I mean, it's nice that they've put some specifications on there and, yeah, signed it on the back. But, yeah, it's not been particularly well done. I suspect that's because titanium is a little bit more difficult to work with than stainless steel. But still, not done an incredible job with that. And my watch turned up with a ding on the lug, the top right lug there at the 1 o'clock, I should say. Yeah, there's a dent in it that was there when I unboxed it. So this watch hasn't turned up in pristine condition. It's a bit grubby as well, but titanium finished like this does tend to attract grubby fingerprints, and yeah, that's something else I'm a little bit disappointed with. It's sort of bead blasted. It's this sort of satin looking. It's not brushed, it's not polished, and you see this all too often with affordable titanium watches. But yeah, San Martin showed recently with their premium dive watch that titanium can be finished incredibly well. Although, of course, I'm not forgetting that San Martin's dive watch was 6, 7, even 8 times as much as this watch. I'm not forgetting that at all. It's just I'm not wild about affordable titanium watches that have this sort of bead blasted finish, because I think it looks like quite a cheap finish. The watch feels cheap because it's light, and the bracelet just also feels quite cheap and jangly. I'm not forgetting that this is a $70 watch, so I'm not suggesting it should be finished any other way. I'm just suggesting it's not my first choice when it comes to how titanium is finished and how it should feel. Yeah, I'm not wild about titanium watches because they do quite often feel quite light and sort of cheap feeling. And maybe if they had put an automatic movement inside this watch, made the case a little bit thicker, it would have just added a bit of weight, giving the whole watch just a slightly better feeling of quality, perhaps. Anyway, I'm waffling to some degree. I'm just sharing my thoughts on it, because there's no denying, really, it is actually good value for money. The clasp is a very cheap pressed clasp, 3 micro adjusts, no divers extensions or anything like that, but it's what you would expect to come with this watch. And actually the dial has been done pretty nicely. There is some lume. I'll show you the lume degrading over a 5-minute period at the end of the video. And yeah, I mean, the dial has been done very, very nicely. The hands contrast nicely with this sort of creamy yellow coloured dial, black hands or black outer framing to the hands. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good, and the proportions are nice. But interestingly, I've just remembered some other channels have reviewed this watch, and it seems to have come with a fully polished bezel. I've definitely seen some videos where they're featuring, well, I'm assuming it's the same watch, but with a fully polished bezel, which actually looks really good. Yeah, again, I was talking about how titanium is finished earlier, and I think if they'd have continued to include a polished element to the case, at least, it would have perhaps made it look a little bit less cheap and affordable. But there's no denying this is an incredible value for money, well-spec'd field watch. And yeah, I'm not surprised at all. They've sold well over 800 units. Right, here it is then on my roughly average sized wrist. It was a nice easy watch to adjust. There are split pins, but yeah, they came out without too much trouble at all. And yeah, solid links and solid end links as well, which wasn't necessarily expected at this price point. And as you would imagine, it feels very, very light, but very comfortable. I mean, it doesn't feel completely weightless. You can tell you're wearing a watch, obviously, but yeah, I mean, in terms of its size, I think I wouldn't want it to be any smaller. People with average, maybe slightly larger than average wrists aren't going to be drawn towards this one, I don't think. But it is a field watch, so you wouldn't want it to be oversized. So yeah, I think they've done a good job. They've definitely done a good job, although, yeah, like I've said already, I'm not wild about it. But I can certainly see why so many people have been drawn towards this watch. Certainly at the sort of $70 price point. Just incredible. Right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments section. And yeah, I've got another titanium watch to review very, very soon. It is the Berny, so make sure you smash that subscribe button and click the bell notifications icon and come back to watch that video. Cheers, guys. Take care.